Well, good morning, everybody. It's me here, Adam, with you guys again. Whether you're watching on a Sunday morning or some other time during the week, I'm glad you could join us here. We're talking our way through the Bible and talking about the big picture of the whole Bible. I say a lot, but it's like a jigsaw puzzle. We learn these little pieces of the stories, but we want to put all those pieces together to see that God has one big story going through all of the Scripture. So we'll review that in a little bit here, but let me just pray as we get started. Dear Jesus, thank you so much that you loved us enough to save us. Thanks for helping us learn about your story, your rescue story of us. Help us to have lots of fun and to learn good things in your word today. For your glory, Jesus, we pray. Amen. Well, the past few weeks, as we've been talking through our big picture story of the Bible, we've been through the book of Genesis at the beginning, and now we're in the book of Exodus. And we mentioned that the whole big picture story of the Bible is a rescue story. But also, these past few weeks, we've talked about some smaller, these individual jigsaw piece puzzles where there's little rescue stories that God has built in. And to talk about these as a little bit of review, I've got some guests with me here today. So I'd like to call over Kate and Lizzie Pivot. Woo! Let's see if I can get you guys on the camera here. This is Kate and Lizzie. I think you guys know these interesting people here pretty well. And what I asked them to do is I asked one of them to draw a picture of Joseph and one of them to draw a picture of Moses. So this is like fan art. So you guys, can you hold it a little closer to there? And let's have Lizzie do hers first. Okay, put yours down for a second. Okay, Lizzie, this is the, whoa, there we go. You can see it nice and big there. So can you describe to everyone what's going on in the story in Joseph in the scene that you're drawing?
There's his robe, there's Joseph, and there are the camels going to buy him.
What is he in there? Pull it back there. What is he sitting in there?
The well.
He's sitting in the well, and his brothers threw him in the well, and there's his coat. And the camels were there to take him to Egypt, and his brothers were the brothers.
They're eating.
They're eating. They're like over there eating their tacos or whatever. Okay, and then here's Kate. Kate's got hers.
Mine.
Put it a little closer. Oh, whoa. Okay, there we go. Ah, okay.
Mine is Moses in the burning bush.
Okay, and he's saying,
Ah!
And I like how, zooming in again on Moses' feet. No, not that close. Right, there you go. So Moses is not wearing sandals. Remember how he had to take off his sandals? You should actually draw those sandals in later. But
I thought about that.
Anyway, so he met God at the burning bush, and God said, I'm gonna send you to go tell Pharaoh to let my people go. Yeah, okay. So anyway, so that's fan art. So we're gonna come back to that later. So be thinking about fan art today. Thank you, ladies, for the two rescue stories. Thanks for joining me. But what I want to do is a little bit of review for you all watching at home there, is just to talk for about 2 or 3 minutes, not anything very long, just to review. And out of the two rescue stories that are right near the front of the Bible, Joseph in the book of Genesis and Moses in Egypt, which one is your favorite rescue story and why? So hit pause on your video and talk about that as a family for 2 or 3 minutes. Which one is your favorite rescue story out of these two early ones and why? So I'll make a funny face, so hit pause now. Okay, that's a great face, wasn't it? So I hope you had fun discussing that. Which one was the better story? I like Joseph, I'll be honest with you. I mean, Moses, great story, Prince of Egypt, good stuff, 10 Commandments, let my people go. Okay, it's good stuff, right? But there's just something about the story of Joseph I really like. I think it's the fact that he didn't even really have a full picture of what God was doing until the very end of his life, when all the pieces came together and Joseph says, hey, the things that you, my brothers, my bad brothers who threw me in the well, all those things that you were meant for evil, God meant for good. And I just think that's really cool that God was in control the whole time. But those are the two rescue stories at the very beginning of the Bible. And they fit into this larger rescue story of God rescuing a people through someone who seems like a foreigner to them. Remember, Joseph dressed up like an Egyptian, and Moses was not accepted as a real Jew initially because of his time in Egypt. And so it's like they're little tiny pictures of the bigger rescue picture of God and humanity. So that's a review here. If you remember last week in our story, Moses had led the people out of Egypt and through the waters, and the waves came crashing down, and Pharaoh's chariots and horses were all killed. And all the people had a big party on the other side going, yay, God rescued us. It's a good rescue story, right? But we mentioned that even though Moses had started learning to trust and obey God, now the rest of Abraham's kids, all these Jewish people, had to learn the same lesson of trusting and obeying. Remember, they said, well, why are you killing us here? We could have died in Egypt. And Moses says, the Lord will fight for you if you will only be still, right? So Moses is trying to teach the people, you need to trust God, you need to obey God, because that's what went wrong in the Garden of Eden. We need to learn to trust him and obey. So how do these people do? They have their big party on the other side. They look at the Red Sea, all the dead horses and everything. And after a while they go, oh, my tummy, I'm hungry. I'm really hungry. I need some food now. You ever felt like you really needed food, like really bad? Well, they started getting hungry because remember, they left in a hurry from Egypt, so they didn't have time to pack up like bags and bags and bags and bags of food or something like that. They had to go quickly and leave in the middle of the night. They did have that big lamb dinner before they left, so they had something there for a little bit. But eventually they got hungry, and God says, I can use this, I can use their hunger to teach them this lesson to trust me and obey me. And so he gives them their first lesson, lesson number 1, as the Jewish people learn to follow God, is the lesson of manna. Manna, okay, now you might remember this when God's people were out in the desert. There wasn't a lot of food for all those, probably about 2 million people or so. That's a lot of people. And so God would have this manna fall down on the ground in the morning, like the morning dew would settle. And I have some manna right here. In fact, here, you didn't think there's any left? Well, this is actually split peas, but this is the best I could come up for it. But it's kind of described as like coriander and resin. So this is the close. This is gonna be our manna for today. So basically, God said, to teach you people to trust me and obey me, what I want you to do to eat every day is every morning you're going to have this stuff rest on the ground like dew. And when you get up in the morning while it's still cool, I want you to go around and take your little bowl and start picking up and gathering some manna. And you pick it here and you pick it there. And now you might wonder, well, why is it called manna? Why didn't they just call it weird pea stuff or whatever? Well, actually, let me teach you a little Hebrew. This is very useful Hebrew, okay? The word ma. Okay, everyone say ma. Ma, like ma. Hey, ma, come here. Ma means what? Ma, what? Na means this. Ma, na. Ma, na. What's this? What's this? What's this? What's this stuff? That's basically what the people said when they saw this stuff settle on the ground. Moses says, God's going to provide bread for you. Just go out and pick it up every morning. And they go out there, and there's no pizza. There's no mac and cheese. There's no grilled cheese. What are your favorite foods here? There's no grapes. What there is everywhere you look, settle on the desert floor, a bunch of, what's this? We got to eat this? So what they do is they take it, they grind it up, make it into like a flour, maybe make some manna, like some mana. What is this? Tortillas, or some mana soup, or some mana, I don't know, other things you can make out of mana. Maybe they shaped it into loaves of bread or something like that. But that's what they had to eat, is mana. What is this? So all week long, I encourage you to go around your house and in the world saying, mana, what is this? Okay, and remind your mom and dad that mana is, what's this? Okay, and that's your Hebrew lesson for today, mana. So anyway, that was the thing, and here's the thing. The reason why it was a test for people to trust and obey God is there were some rules with it. God said, well, you have to collect it early in the morning before the sun gets hot, because when it got hot, it would kind of melt away. So if you waited too long, no mana for you, buddy. And if you tried to save a bunch for the next day, God said, don't do it. I'm going to give it to you every day. You can just trust me. I will give you manna every day. But if you try to keep it for an extra day, it says it's not going to go good. It's going to get rotten, and it's going to come out with a bunch of worms are going to land on it. So your three basic choices were go hungry, trust and obey, and get your manna, or gather too much and have worm spaghetti the next day. Ooh. Have you ever eaten worms? Sounds pretty gross. So anyway, and on the 6th day, God says, gather double the amount of manna, and there will be no worms that the 6th day. It's a way for you to trust and obey me. It will be fine for the 7th day. And so the people had this constant daily reminder, I have to trust that God's going to bring me food. I have to do what I have to do in picking up the food and gathering it and grinding it. And I need to make sure that I don't take too much. And then on the 6th day, I take enough for 2 days. And so it was this lesson for people to say you can trust God every day. And they did this for a long time. Okay, so they get their manna and their bellies are full finally. And God says, you know what? My people really need to learn what it looks like to obey me. So he brings Moses and the people to Mount Sinai. This is this big mountain, right? Big fiery mountain. God kind of appearing on the top in kind of like this flashy way, like there was a burning bush. It's like a burning mountain. And God says, Moses, come on up here to the mountain. I'm going to give you some rules. This is like the 10 Commandments, and actually it's a lot more than the 10 Commandments. And he says, I'm going to give you some ways that you can know if you're obeying me or not. And so he gives them, you don't have any other gods before me. Don't bow down to idols. Honor your father and mother. Just all these different, the 10 Commandments and these other rules. And God's going to say, if you follow these rules, I'm going to give you all, the Jewish people, you children of Abraham, the special privilege of being my priests as a holy nation to the whole world. A priest is someone who ministers from God to other people. So he's saying, you are going to be my special people to tell people about me, to bring people to me, to help be kind of like a pipeline between me and you. And so this is a great deal here. And so Moses goes up on the mountain, this fiery mountain, all these people, probably 2 million people below, and he gives him these laws, the 10 Commandments, some other rules. He tells them how to make a tabernacle, which is like a tent, which is like think of it like here's the big Mount Sinai. The tabernacle is like a little baby Mount Sinai that they carry around with them. It's like a tent that they would set up wherever they go, and God's glory would kind of appear on it like a fire, like a flaming pillar of fire. And they would know, hey, God is with us. Just like God is with us on the mountain, on this big burning mountain, God can be with us with this tiny little tent here, burning here. And he also told Moses up on the mountain about animal sacrifices. You can pause for 10 seconds and remind your parents or your brother or your sister about sacrifices we've seen so far. They had to sacrifice the lamb. Remember that, to put the blood over the doorstop. Or Abraham sacrificed the ram. God sacrificed an animal in Garden of Eden. God's saying you have to cover your sin. And so he's telling you, these are the rules for your sacrifices. And he gave them rules about holidays. So Moses is up here on the mountain for a long, long time. And you wonder about all these people kind of at the bottom of the mountain, right? Moses is like, listening to God. He's getting these revelations from God about all these different things. And you have to ask, well, are these people going to learn to trust and obey? They have the lesson of the manna. They have to do that, right? Now they're at the mountain, and Moses goes up, starts to get there, and the people are like, oh, is he coming down? Is Moses coming down? Is Moses coming down? It's taking him a long time. What's he doing? Is he taking a nap up there? What is he doing? And maybe you've been really impatient sometimes. I've been impatient. Have you been impatient sometimes? Like you're waiting for something to happen and it just doesn't seem to happen. Well, that's what's going on with these people here. And they begin to wonder, well, should we really trust God and obey him? I mean, we're supposed to wait for Moses, but it's taking him a long time here. And they go, hey, Aaron! Yeah? Aaron is Moses' brother, right? Hey, Aaron, your brother, he went up on that mountain and time's ticking away here. It's like an app is loading on your phone and there's like that little circle that fills in. it doesn't ever seem to load the app on your phone or something like that. Or your parents' phone, you probably don't have phones. Maybe you do. I don't know. Um, but it's like, oh, I have one on my shirt here. It's like the bar is loading on your app, and it just takes forever. And the people say, you know what? We're sick of waiting, Aaron. Do something. And so instead of trusting and obeying God, what do people do at the bottom of Mount Sinai? There's this burning mountain. Moses is up there getting the Ten Commandments and all these other different rules and learning about the holidays and all that. The people build what? A golden calf. I should have brought some kind of cow. I don't have a cow here actually. So they take their earrings and their necklaces and they throw it in the fire, and Aaron shapes this cow. And he says, "Hey, here's your God who brought you out of Egypt." And the people should have gone, "Huh? That thing you just made brought us out of Egypt?" But instead they go, "Yay, cool with us." And then they have a big party and they have a barbecue and they're like, "Yeah, good time." And they're having this party at the bottom of Mount Sinai. And then, guess what? Moses comes down the mountain. He kind of walks down the mountain. And God says, hey, the people, they're not trusting me. They're not obeying me. Let's just wipe them out, Moses, and start over. And Moses actually says, God, you can't do that, please. You told Abraham, you said to Abraham, you were going to make your people numerous. You're going to have a great nation. You're going to put them in this promised land, this blessed land. You can't do that, God. And so God says, well, okay, I'm not gonna destroy these people. But this is a bad thing. So Moses goes down. He breaks his first set of tablets, and basically the people get in trouble. And the people don't do so well in trusting and obeying God. Is there a pattern here? You see this? You see this in your jigsaw puzzle that's starting to form? People consistently want to do things themselves, do it their way, fix it. Like this is the Bob the Builder. Can we fix it? Yes, we can. Let's build a golden calf and worship the golden calf. But that was the wrong answer. Well, we're going to talk about some other tests that these people got after that. They were learning from the manna test. They had to go gather their seeds, okay, make their manna. They had to make their manna for breakfast. And then they learned, oh, we made a wrong choice with the golden calf here. But then God gave them another lesson here. And this is going to be our main scripture for today. Basically, the people started complaining because how would you feel if you had to have manna for dinner? You might like it the first day. But what if you had manna 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 5? Manna. You don't want to eat this over and over again. And that's what happened with the people. They said, oh, remember how wonderful it was back in Egypt where we could eat onions and lakes and meat. And I miss Egypt. I miss being a slave. It was so great being a slave, wasn't it? I could eat onions. You probably don't even like onions. I think onions are okay, but I don't know if I'd cry about onions. But anyway, they wanted better food. And God hears this, and he says, you know what, Moses? These people want meat. Let's give them meat. And that's the story we're going to read here. So basically the people are complaining. They don't trust God. They don't want to obey him. And this is what God says to Moses. He says, they want to eat meat? We'll give them meat. He says, tell the people, consecrate yourselves. That means kind of like wash yourselves up. It means get ready. Prepare yourself for tomorrow when you will eat meat. Remember, they've been eating manna for days. And the Lord heard you when you wailed, if only we had meat to eat, we were better off in Egypt. Now the Lord will give you meat, and you will eat it. This is like the commercial part right here. You will eat it not for just 1 day or 2 days, or 5 or 10 days, or 20 days, but for a whole month, a month of meat. Until it comes out of your nostrils, right? So you want meat coming out of your nostrils? That's quite a picture. Until it comes out of your nostrils and you loathe it. Not love it, loathe it means to hate it. Because you have rejected the Lord who is among you. And you've wailed before him saying, why did we ever leave Egypt? So basically, here's the thing. God says, listen, you want meat? I'll give you meat. I'm not going to give you 1 day of meat or 2 days of meat. I'm going to give you 30 days of meat, a whole month of meat. You want meat? You're going to get meat. Okay? And because he wanted them to learn that he could provide this. Now, Moses hears this from God. God, this is a pretty big crowd here. You're going to feed this whole crowd meat for 30 days. I mean, just think, if you had the whole city of Fairbanks and you said, we're going to feed the whole city of Fairbanks nothing but meat for 30 days. That would be a lot of meat, right? Well, there's way more people here than that are in Fairbanks. There's about 2 million people total here. I'll read it. It says, Moses said to God, here I am among 600,000 men on foot. So that's just like their soldiers, but you have to consider the women and the children. So it's about 2 million people. And you say, I will give them meat to eat for a whole month. Would they have enough if flocks and herds were slaughtered for them? Would they have enough if all the fish in the sea were caught for them? So Moses is saying, Lord, seriously, you're going to feed them that much meat? And this is our verse for today. The Lord answered Moses, is the Lord's arm too short? Yeah, it's Numbers 11:23. Now we know God doesn't have literal arms. He's spirit, but he's kind of using poetic language here. And he's saying, am I not strong enough? Is the Lord's arm too short? Means, am I not strong enough to do this, Moses? I created the whole earth. You think I can't provide meat for a crowd for 30 days? And he says, you will now see whether or not what I say to you will come true for you. So Moses has a tough choice here. Is he going to trust God and obey him and tell everybody the good news? You get meat for 30 days. Or is he going to go, I don't believe you, God. Amazingly, Moses believes God. It says, so Moses went out and told the people what the Lord had said. Moses is probably thinking, okay, God, I don't know how you're going to do it. But here we go, meat. And sure enough, God brings these quail, which is like these birds. He changes the winds, these birds land, and the people eat meat for 30 days till it comes out of their nostrils. Isn't that, okay, you want that again? Okay, you can do that, do that at home. Okay, that's quail coming out of your nostrils. But the whole point here is God is saying, I'm more than powerful enough to do that and even more. Will you please just trust me, obey me? Last story we're going to talk about, we'll hit this real quick here. The final test for the Israelites up front, after they go to Mount Sinai, after they eat the quail coming out of their nose, right? God says, okay, now you're ready. Let's go in and take this land that I promised to Abraham right away. And so they send out 12 spies, you probably know this story, to check out the land. So they go through the land. One spy from each of the different tribes of Israel. They look around. And the land's very good. It's very fruitful. They have these big clusters of grapes and things like that. But there are giants in the land. And you know the story probably. 10 of the spies get scared and go, giants? We can't fight giants. Me no like giants. And 2 of them, Joshua and Caleb, say, you know what? There are giants, but God just provided quail that came out of our nose. Remember the quail coming out of your nose? Remember the quail? Remember coming out of the nose? God can provide meat. He can take care of giants. Let's go take the land. And the people, the 10 people go back. They go back to Moses and all the people, and they say, the land's good, but there's giants. We can't do it. Oh, what are we going to do? Now, let me ask you, if those 10 guys, those spies, were they trusting in their own strength or God's strength? Their own strength. They were thinking like Bob the Builder. They were thinking, can we fight the giants? No, we can't. Okay, but Joshua and Caleb are going, is the Lord's arm too short? God can do anything. He can take care of giants, no problem. Let's go get the land, right? And but the 10 spies went over the people, and the people say, oh, we're not going to go in. And then God gets upset with that. Moses gets upset, and God says, you know what? This generation, this group of people here, they're not going to trust me and obey me. I'm going to wait for their kids to grow up. We're going to have them learn the lesson of the manna for 40 years. 40 years of gathering manna, right, and eating it, so that they learn through this constant repetition, trust me, obey me. I'm going to provide for you. I'm going to take care of you, so that they will have the faith to trust me when it's time to go back in. So when Moses tells everybody this, those 10 spies change their mind. They're going, what, 40 years? You mean we have to eat manna for 40 years? So they had to choose between fighting giants or eating manna for 40 years, right? So they said, you know what? We were bad. We were bad. Let's go fight those giants now. We're ready. But Moses says, no, no, no. That opportunity, that ship has sailed. You can't do that anymore. God said, no, don't go. You're going to die. You go, no, we're going to do it. Can we do it? Yes, we can. And so those spies, they lead a group of people into the promised land, and they get slaughtered. And they run with their tails between their legs. They don't really have tails, but that's an expression. And the lesson there is you got to learn to trust and obey God. The Jews would spend the next 40 years learning to trust and obey God. Okay, I went a little long this morning. That's it. But what I do want to say is I would like you, as a project, to give me your own fan art from today's stories. Okay, so you can draw me a picture of Moses at the burning mountain, or about how about you draw a picture of the quail coming out of the nose. That would be great. Or maybe you want to draw a picture of all the fabulous dishes they cooked with their manna, the manna tortillas, the manna pizza, the manna soup. I mean, do whatever you want to do for your fan art, and then have your mom or dad take a photo of it and send it to me at adam@bethelchurchak.org. I'll say it again, adam@bethelchurchak.org, and maybe I will show your fan art to everybody next week. So that's it. Thanks so much. See you later. Bye.